Forge FC is ready to take the pitch.
Simply stunning stuff. And finally, their goal. My word, what a rocket.
Now, let's get 3 keys to the match with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network.
Hey, Forge fans, it's the Forge Audio Network. I'm Anthony Urciuoli. These are your 3 keys to the match presented to you by Volkswagen, and it's the league-leading Pacific FC. They have 18 points after 10 matches. Forge has 11 points after 7. 3 matches in hand is a lot, especially when you're playing against the club. I mean, these are 6-point swings, so this could go a long way in determining who finishes first in that CPL table. Atletico, by the way, coming on strong. But let's focus on Pacific and Forge right now. Forge, as much as you don't want to watch the standings and rely too heavily on them, the reality is in this league, finishing first overall and securing home field advantage throughout the playoffs, including the championship match, is huge. Forge will definitely want to at least secure home field throughout the postseason. So this match will go a long way. These 2 clubs met already. At the start of the season, week 1, Forge losing 2-1 against Pacific. That Forge club is a lot different than the one we have right now, and the one that we're going to see on Sunday. We have players playing out of position, and we had players who really, their role was still kind of up in the air for this season. Forge was trying to plug a lot of holes because of the injuries, the illnesses to start the season. This is a much different club, and a club that's looked really, really good the last couple of weeks. And I would say, 3 out of the last 4 matches have looked spectacular. So Forge will look to at least ride that wave going into Sunday. Tickets available Sunday, kickoff at 4 o'clock. Forge FC taking on Pacific FC in a rematch of last year's final. Key number 1 for Forge: home ownership. Now, if you live in Hamilton, home ownership's just a pipe dream at this point. But for Forge, it's very much attainable, and they need to get it back. Tim Hortons Field needs to be a place that teams fear coming to, that is just uncomfortable for the visiting team. Hasn't quite been that way this season. And I think that match against Toronto FC will go a long way in Forge just at least reasserting their dominance on their home field. The atmosphere for that TFC game is something I think we can at least build on from a fan perspective and from just an environment perspective, making it a very tough place to play. And Forge can contribute to that by being a dominant team at home. And you want the visiting team to look at the schedule and say, we're going to Hamilton, but let's at least try to get a draw out of this. I mean, you want it to be that kind of environment. And I don't know that Tim Hortons Field has been that difficult to play in for visiting clubs as it has been in the past, and the way it can be. So home ownership will be key number 1 for Forge. Now, how do they get there? That leads us to key number 2: tempo. Another word for that: energy. When Forge plays high energy and up tempo, they are unbeatable. The only times we have seen Forge struggle this season is when the tempo just hasn't been there. Forge can play as fast as anybody. Forge head coach and technical director Bobby Smirniotis talked about energy and tempo in his pre-match press conference.
The best way to defend is a good attack. So we have to be very good in this game against a team who's also very good on the ball. And I think that's the way you counteract that. And we keep on talking about how we can be more efficient in the attacking part of the field. We've shown that in the last few games, and I think we want to be able to keep that up and put pressure on the opponents in the attacking part of the field. And try and demonstrate some of the things we've done in the last 3 or so games, even going back to the game against Ottawa, where we're playing higher up the field, more numbers and pinning the opponents back. But of course, your players need to be in a very good state physically, mentally, to work on things tactically to do that. At the same time, we know that Pacific is a team that can hold the ball for days as well. So sometimes you have to be patient in those end and find the areas to counter in which they've been susceptible in the last few games.
They have the skill to do it. They have the tactical demands to do it from their coaching staff. The quickness in which they move the ball. Playing up tempo isn't about speed. How quickly do you move the ball? How quickly can you make decisions? A lot of that is just ingrained. A lot of it comes down to the fact that they have the kind of club right now and the players that can execute that kind of game style. And it's just they have the skill to do it through the midfield. And in that final third, they want to play up tempo. But it doesn't end there, because the tempo also extends to their press. I mean, players are on you. And Forge does it better than anybody with that upfield press that Bobby Smirniotis likes to incorporate. It's usually a 2 to 3 man press, depending on the situation. In this case, against Pacific, it's extra important. And we know I'm a stats guy. So here's why it's extra important. The leading passers in the Canadian Premier League, and by leading passers, let's just say the number of passes completed. Now listen to these stats. Thomas Meyer-Jaguar and Didic right now are the two leaders in total passes this season. Both play for Pacific. Thomas Meyer-Jaguar has 664 passes. Didic has 632. The next closest, Romeo from Valor, has 553. I mean, almost 100 passes less than Didic does in second, and more than 100 less than Meyer-Jaguar has. It means that Pacific likes to use their back line to move the ball to build up play. So if you're a Forge, you want to institute that press and you want it to be relentless. Make it uncomfortable. If Pacific want to play through the back like that, that's fine. But you're going to have to deal with pressure from those attackers from Forge that are going to be on you quick. And it's not even just about, it is about energy and determination and pace and tempo and all that, but it's also about smarts. It's being in the right place at the right time. And Forge has executed those high presses to perfection at different points this season. And it can go a long way in neutralizing, at least slowing down the Pacific attack. Key number 3 for Forge. Diaz Donut. It's not the name of some fancy new donut place in Hamilton. Diaz Donut refers to Alejandro Diaz, the attacker for Pacific, who has 6 goals this season. He leads the league. He has 2 more than Borges, has played in more games. So we're going to give Borges the benefit there. But Diaz, this offense relies heavily on Diaz's offensive output. And if you are Forge, you slow down Diaz, you keep him off the score, you keep him frustrated too. And Forge has the guys, they have the guys to do this. They have guys that can play aggressive, that can get up in your grill, that can slow you down, frustrate you. And Diaz is going to be a target for Forge. It's a guy they're going to want to mark, and it's a guy that's going to get a lot of attention from the Forge defenders and from that defensive side of the midfield. So Diaz Donut, keep Diaz off the score sheet, and your path to victory becomes that much easier. We know Forge can score goals, and it's a lot easier to score more than the opponent when their biggest weapon is kept off the score sheet. Those are your 3 keys. Simple. I mean, how much easier could it be? Forge executes, and they come out with a likely W, and you can watch it live at Tim Hortons Field. Kickoff scheduled for 4 o'clock on Sunday. Arrive early, $5 beers before kickoff, and don't forget to keep those tickets digital. Get them on your smartphone, Apple, Google, whatever it is. Get them on your phone. It's a lot easier. It's a lot quicker. And we're in for a great match. Pacific versus Forge. What more could you ask for on an afternoon in Hamilton? I will be there, and I hope to see you there.
Forge FC is ready, and now you are too. This has been 3 Keys to the Match on the Forge Audio Network. Keep up to date on your Forge FC by subscribing to the Forge Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.